Welcome to the very first episode of the Focus TV's Roundtable. We've been talking about this for quite a while. We're so happy that, today's here. Go ahead and get this going. We want this to be an informative space where we talk about real topics that, matter within the world of sports. We're so happy that one of our first guests today is Louis Hinnant, UMass-Lowell assistant coach. Played at Boston College. He was a point guard from 2002 to 2006. Louis, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Oh man, looking forward to it. I know Cardell can't wait. So we wanted to talk about recruiting today just because it's one of those things where there's a disconnect if you're on the outside just looking in, just from all sides, because everybody has kind of like a take on it or a perspective that aren't always necessarily involved in it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, we want to take this chance, as Cardell presented it to me, that where we just want to have a good discussion, put everything on the table, and try to get to this place where it's easier for everybody to understand your side of it, the parent side of it, the player side of it. That being said, what's like the most challenging part of the recruiting process as it pertains for you?
I would say right now, with so much changing with the dates and when's the live period and where can we go, right now it's understanding where the schedule's going and when and how much can you see kids. Usually when you're out on the road, I would say that the next toughest thing is probably getting to know as much about the kid as possible, because you got to understand, once you get them, hopefully they're yours for 4 years, so you kind of want to know what their habits are off the court, good or bad, practice habits, how do they treat their parents, their closest friends, things like that. Because eventually, once you get them on campus and you have to deal with them every day, that stuff is going to rear its head. So you want to just understand, what are you able to deal with? What are some non-negotiables for you and your program? And then go from there.
All right, Cardell?
When you find out the dates and you finally get to the gym and recruit, what are some things you're looking for? Because now it's a million AAU teams, and every coach think their player is Division I as well as the parents, and definitely the players. So what is the thing you look for to be like, all right, he can play at this level?
Well, first, I would say body language, stuff like that. For the most part, we all got a job because we can evaluate talent, we can understand basketball, things like that. But like I said, you're going to have these guys every day, and it's I take it serious about, guy got an 8 o'clock game, was he there on time? Is he competing? I know every day may not be your best game, especially, some of these tournaments you're talking about playing 5-6 games in a 2-day span. Every game is not going to be your best game. Sometimes you're going to fatigue, but I'm like, man, this kid's getting after it. He's still competing. I think he's good. I saw him play yesterday 3 games, so I believe in his ability, but does he take this serious all the time? And again, season gets long. You're going to go through peaks and valleys. Are you going to attack it every single day and just try to be the best player you can? And usually those guys, they end up panning out. So,
what are the immediate turn-offs when you're like, I'm good, you get up and walk away?
Again, late, just late to a game. Obviously, for me, again, I don't know you yet to really know how you are as a kid, so I can only go by what I see in this short time span. So if you're late, I'm just assuming you don't value my time as much as you value your own time or the team's time or your teammates' time, things like that. Like I said, are you going to compete at 8 in the morning? Because I just have a philosophy of, if you'll quit on this, there is no telling when, it's in your DNA. You'll quit. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Is it going to be when we're down 10? Trying to claw back? Is it going to be when you haven't hit a shot and now you're just like, oh, forget this? But to me, it's in your DNA and it's in there somewhere. Eventually he'll quit on me. So.
All right. One of the things we talk about so many times on the Focus, people in these highlight tapes, people love them. Some people live by them, think they're the end all, be all, the holy grail to getting to the next level. Obviously being a bit facetious here, but just how much do the social media highlight tapes matter? If not, because we've had people in your position say this before, want to just take it again to hammer this home.
So the 2 different mixtapes. You have the huddles, the huddle accounts, things like that, which pretty much gets a grasp of your whole season. When you're talking about the social media mixtape, if you ever been at some of these tournaments, it's crazy to see that kids are playing so much after the whistle. So you do something, I foul you at half court, and they're going to still go and do something because the guy's under the basket with the camera. So a lot of times, unless you're there, you don't realize, like, 10 of these plays did not happen when the game was actually going. I've seen guys do dunk contests after the game. Like, you talk about switching over between, AAU games, so you got to get off so the next teams can get on. And they're going to go and do 3-4 dunks because they know it's going to get on the social media mixtape. So as far as, like, where that stands in recruiting, it is good to capture the eye, but I'll always say, yeah, you got my attention. Can you send me 3 or 4 full games?
Right.
Anytime. People shoot 97% in the highlight tape.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the ones that they do miss, they cut it out right before it happens. You know what I mean? So you can look at that type of stuff and just kind of use it as a gauge. Oh, he can do these things. He can do these things. It looks good, but I need 3 or 4 full games to kind of really see what you do in game situations, and then we go from there.
Right.
To piggyback off that, what is your take on now? They're filming warm-ups as like a highlight tape and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's the whole point of that? And some of these players are not even going to play.
It's all for, like I said, social media recognition, which, we're older than, than the players that we're talking about, but for them is everything. Even some of my players, I'm like, why'd you have to tweet that? Why'd you get involved in that topic? It's all because, well, it's going to get likes. It's going to get clicked on. I got 20 extra followers out of that. And it's so much validation for them that anything that they can have posts put out on social media, they're going to do it. So I don't put much stock into it at all. The whole dunk and then everybody jumps right before we go in the huddle and things like that. But for them, it means a lot to them. I think it means too much to them because it's all fake. It's nothing real about it. Amongst coaching circles, and I know you do this, and you guys are pretty tied in. But I would say 50% of the offers you see out there aren't real. Yeah.
I had a question about that a little bit.
They just throw it out there, blessed to have such and such and such and such. Like, then you start talking amongst coaches. It's like, no, like, we called the guy. Like, we called him. Like, I'm showing some interest. Yeah. They're not offering like anything, but social media. Like,
if you don't mind, since you brought that up, can you explain that process of issuing out an offer?
For me, and the way that we do it at UMass-Lowell, our coach has the utmost, respect and belief in what we can do as evaluators of talent and some of these young kids. But at the same time, you'll take a look at verbal commits. We don't throw out a bunch of offers because personally, I wanted to feel important to the kid. If you go look at verbal commits, it kind of tells you what you got. So I'm like, okay, we got 1 scholarships and 37 offers out there. Like, does that feel special to the kid? Like, to know, right? So for us, and I don't even like to get into it. Like, I prefer the entire staff to get a look at kids. That's how we do it. Hey, I like this kid. I'm going to get my 3 or 4 game films that I talked about. Here, all of you guys watch it. Let me know what you think. Okay, everybody's on board. Let's offer the kid. Gotcha. Versus me just being an assistant at whatever tournament. I'm there by myself. I like them. Head coach hasn't even seen them yet. And then you throwing offers out there that, aren't really real unless the head coach signs off on it. And that's another thing I try to tell kids. When I really like a kid, it's, hey, man, let me get you on the phone with my head coach. Because it ain't real until, he signs off on it and he says, this is the kid, let's go get him. So that's kind of...
You start recruiting, what are the dialogue with parents? Because you get all types of crazy stories, but, sometimes it can be misleading. Sometimes parents are real cool. They just want to get a feel for who you are. And basically, are you going to take care of my kid? You know what I'm saying? But you also have the crazy parents. I don't want to say no names who, make national headlines saying, yo, my son, he need to start. They make demands. So what has been your experience with, parents? For
the most part, parents have been great. You get to, certain situations, and it, like I said, it can be a life-changing experience for a kid, especially for a family who, if you have college aspirations for your kid, take sports out of it. I've been saving up for the last however many years to make this dream a reality. And I think from our standpoint, you're talking low to mid majors. Some of the kids that we recruit, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. I'm not speaking for the kid that's going to Duke or North Carolina. You probably think from the 9th, 10th grade, they kind of know that they're going to be a college basketball player. So you come in and, you, so to speak, change some of these kids' lives. I'm like, man, I've been working my life to get here. A parent may have been saving up, for something for college, to realize, well, now that's a nest egg because he's going to school for free, and things like that. And I think for the most part, parents are great. For me, I just try to get to know the family, the siblings. I try to get to know everybody as well as I can. I go to their homes, I sit in their living room, I do all that kind of stuff because, again, I'm not a parent yet, but I can only imagine what it's like to turn your kid over to somebody else and they're going hundreds of miles away basically for 4 years. Like, you could probably come home in the summer for two to 3 months, and that's all you're going to see your kid for the next 4 years. Like, I would want to know what, as much as I can, about this coaching staff, the players that are going to be around my kid, your morals and values. So I kind of understand any question or concern a parent may have. Every now and then you're going to run into the parent who is overly confident in their kid. And again, I'm not a parent, so I can't sit here and tell you that I'm not going to be that. Like,
right.
When the time comes, that I'm just trying to instill this confidence into my child. And for some people, I think it's the best thing in the world for them, like, just to know I have somebody that really believes in me. I don't know if I can even say this on camera, but I think you're going to have somebody on here that it's a great dynamic of the relationship that they have and the confidence that one instills in the other to be the best that he can be. I think some coaches, you feel like it's an obstacle or a hurdle to get around to get to the kid, but at the same time, it's like, why are you trying to go around it to get to the kid? You need to go through the parent to get to the kid. So that's kind of how I look at it. And then at the end of the day, you just have to understand your university and what you can offer to a family or a kid, and be as transparent with that as possible. If they see that as something that's value in their life, they're going to, accept it. If they don't, they don't. That's recruiting. You can't win them all. Move on to the next one. So that's kind of how I feel about parents. I think it's once in a blue moon where you get somebody that's overly involved, and typically that's usually a parent that didn't play.
Yeah.
Typically.
To piggyback off that question, what did the dialogue with high school coaches? It's different from when we came up. Like, when we came up, high school coaches was still big. Like, you got to go through them to get to the player mostly, and then pretty much second to the parent. Now, they might not be a factor at all if they behind a parent, AAU coaches. So what are the dialogue with the high school coaches?
I think that you're right. That has totally changed from when we were in school. But just from my background, I'm from the area, PG County. I went to Gwynn Park. I played at Boston College. I went overseas to play for 8 years, and then I got right into coaching. So I never got into the AAU scene and this, that, and the other. So all I knew was this: if this is how it's going to go, when you're recruiting a kid, you have to go through the high school coach. So it was a total shock to me my first year when they was like, people don't really do that, or you call the coach and be like, man, the coach hasn't called me in years. And I'm like, well, how did they get your kid? Like, that's just the way that, as far as I remembered it, this is how it goes down. So I understand, like, the AAU thing has gotten bigger. But from a low major to a mid-major standpoint, the worst that a coach can do to me is knock me out. As far as, like, I'm recruiting a kid and he says something bad and he can knock me out. So I go through those avenues just to make it an even playing field. I feel like my ability to grow a relationship with your player is going to speak for itself. Just don't knock me out. So I always reach out to the high school coach, the parents, the AAU coach. I ask the kid, one of the first questions that I ask is, who is influential in your life that's going to help you make this decision? Give me those list of people. I'm going to talk to them all. Because again, I feel like all you can do is knock me out. Versus if it's an even playing field, I feel like I'm pretty good. Like I'll do what I got to do. I'll be where I need to be. I'll talk to whoever I got to talk to put my university in the best position possible to land the kid. And if everything's an even playing field, that's all I'm looking for in the recruiting process. And talking to a high school coach and all those things is really big to just keep that playing field as even as possible.
So to still stay on the topic with that, but change it up. AAU coaches and now trainers. Now you got the trainers that's powerful. They like, nah, don't mess with them. Like you said, they'll knock you out. What's the dialogue with those guys as well?
I think it's same. I think it all stems from that list of people that a kid is going to give me that says these are the people in my life that are influential. And I've had situations where all of a sudden, like the list was my mom and my dad, and then as we got going, it turned in what my trainer said call me. My AAU coach said give him a call. This person said give him a call. And typically, I'll do it. It's part of the game. It's part of recruiting. Right. I'll do it. And sometimes you can't go in there like, so pessimistic, because a lot of times now I have great relationships with some of these trainers who are training kids every year, all year round. And I'm getting a heads up on the next kid and things like that. So sometimes it works out for me.
Right.
And then sometimes you're like, where did all these people come from? At the same time. So I never heard anything about this guy. I've been talking to you for 6 weeks now. Where did this guy come from? And exactly what does he want out of this? And that's the other thing, too. Because some people don't realize it, especially when you're young, because somebody may be picking you up, taking you to the gym, this, that, and the third. It's hidden agendas out there, right. As far as people they're hoping and wishing, they got your best interests. They hope that you make it because they also have their best interests at heart too. And we see a lot of relationships go, especially in this area, we've seen a lot of relationships go south once a kid made some money and somebody felt that they weren't reciprocated the way that they thought they should have been. So,
All right. So earlier, one of the things that jumped out, we talk about this a lot too, just from the competition standpoint, right? Talking about where, it's an era where a lot of kids, just a lot of people, period, seek outside validation for things. You're trying to recruit athletes with students, compete at a very high level. What's that like? Sometimes if you have a kid do you even entertain a kid is that like a non-negotiable if there's a certain level that they don't reach from a competitive standpoint?
I think so. I think those are some of the things you're trying to figure out when you're in recruiting, when you're at these AAU tournaments. I try my best to get to all the 8 o'clock games, especially if it's a kid and I'm recruiting. I hope you play at 8:30, 8 or 9:30, because I'm not gonna say it's the easiest thing in the world to just wake up that early and compete at a high level. But at the same time, when you know what's on the line, and if you have a goal which you're trying to reach, like waking up at 8 to play ain't really, that's not stopping me from getting to where I need to go.
Right.
At the same time, you're gonna come in, you were the man wherever you were, or you worked your way up to being the man, usually by your 12th grade year, to be a Division I player. We all got the same story. Everybody got the same story. There's guys, by the time you get there's going to be guys who are juniors, seniors who have worked at this level to be the man. You may not have this big pot of minutes or opportunity in year one. And I think that's what freshmen, the transition, everything, that's where the miscommunication usually happens.
Right.
Of like, I believe in you. I'm still the same coach that sat in your living room and told you this is how good I think you can be. And I believe that you're just not better than the senior right now.
Right.
But that's where that competitiveness kick in. I got no problem saying this. This is one of the stories I tell all of my kids when they start going through a tough time. When I got to Boston College, I played against Cardell in high school. He knows me. I know him. When I got to Boston College, I had a pretty good high school career, Capital Classic, All-Met, all that kind of stuff. The first 2 weeks in practice, I never got my butt kicked that bad by Troy Bell. He was a preseason All-American. My freshman year, he averaged 30. This is in the Big East. You don't see people at that high of a level averaging 30 points a game. he may be the all-time Big East leading scorer, him or Moulton, whatever. At least it's a DMV or a former teammate thing. One of them, I don't know. But it was hard, like, to be like, dude, everything I do, it seems like it's the wrong decision. Like, I go this way, he go that way. You know, I jump this screen, he pop back. Because he knows the offense better than I do. He's been doing this for 4 years. He knows what I'm thinking, and
You're a step slow.
I'm a step slow. He knows this, all this stuff like the back of his hand already. And I'm like, man, like, is this for me? Like, you know, but all this stuff goes, and anybody who tells you something different, like about that first couple of weeks in practice, like, they lying. So, but that competitiveness kick in, and it was like, man, I can't go back home, and people from the area looking at me like, oh, you went, but you couldn't get it, you couldn't cut it. And that's what kept me going. And I remember one day in practice, something clicked for me, and it was like a good day for me, and it was like, all right, this is going to be at least a back and forth in practice. It's not going to be me getting torched. And I had never been torched like that, like, ever. So, like, all right, like I said, you unsure, competitiveness kick in, and I think that's more where that competitive edge kicks in. Not when the lights come on, you know what I'm saying? Not when everybody's watching on TV. It's what you do day in, day out, because you're talking 13 scholarship guys on the team that got all the same story as you. But what's going to separate you? Are you going to quit when you get, you know, your butt bust or, you know, stuff like that? Or is that competitive edge going to bring you back the next day? And, you know, after yesterday it was a struggle. I couldn't get a shot off. I couldn't stop them. Mm-hmm. But today I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to do it again. And that's where that competitive nature kind of kicks in.
Like you said, the thing about low mid-major programs, y'all have to develop players to a certain point where they can compete with the high majors eventually. Mm-hmm. But nowadays with the transfer market, high majors swoop in and take the kid once they get good enough. Yep. Like, and y'all don't even get that chance. So it's like y'all keep starting over again. Is it a detriment to you guys, or like, what are your thoughts on it?
I think so. I think it's hard because that's, you know, to be honest, as a coach, it's always in the back of your mind. Yeah. You know, kid goes and does well. He's having a great season, and he's got 2 years left. Like, who's calling him? Who's texting him? Can't be with him all the time. Right. You know, who's figured out his social media handle and is reaching out through DMs and all that kind of stuff, because people do all that. So it is really hard. The best thing that you could do is continue to build those relationships, just like a woman, like a wife. You know, once you get her and you like her and she's your woman, you can't stop courting her. You can't just like, oh, I got it, now we don't go out anymore. We don't. So as I recruit them, like, just because you sign with me doesn't mean I stop working to build that relationship. A lot of our guys, again, at the level, you know, you're always building. You're building because I want to see those guys go and play 8, 9, 10 years, wherever they're going to go. So I'm always, you know, these are some of the hurdles that I went through. This is where I stumbled, and just I think they appreciate those conversations because they want to get to a level that I played at, and that allows us to continue to grow and build our relationships. Again, doing the same thing with their circles, you know, whether it's reaching out to their parents, their trainers, their, you know, stuff like that. That because you're gonna go. I don't care what anyone says. You're gonna go through tough times in college. And as a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid, everybody is going to, a thought's going to run. Let 2 weeks go by and you ain't hit a shot, and coach had to, maybe I got to put somebody else in, because you're a fool if you think that kid's not sitting in this room thinking, I should transfer. You know what I mean? I should go some. So it's all about continue to build that relationship. Come talk to me. Like, my door's open. Come talk to me. Like, something's going on campus, females, things like that. Come, like, having that relationship to come talk, and then, you know, just relying on that to hopefully by building that relationship is strong enough to keep them there. Right. And it's really tough to do, you know, when big Power Fives is coming in and they're like, you know they're gonna sell them the dream too. You know, you come here, you can play 25 minutes a game, you can do this. I get you in the pre-draft camp. This is, like, who doesn't want to hear all that type of stuff? So it's hard when my sell is they're gonna find you. Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, you know, if you do what you got to do, they're going to find you. And their sale's going to be, I'll get you. They don't got to find you. I'm going to put you in their face. Yeah. I'm going to make a call. You know what I mean? So it's tough, but so far we've been good with that. We've been able to keep our best players. I think we treat them extremely well, and that's been going well for us. And again, like, it is what it is. You know, you got to now recruit all year round, unfortunately, and just hope that none of this stuff takes place. You know, a big Power 5 school doesn't swing in at the end of the year and swoops up one of your players. And it's just part of the game. It's part of the game now. So.
Yeah, I wanted to, that's related to that. Are players transferring due to running from accountability and competing, or are they transferring, you know, or is it more of the coaches not moving in integrity, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. Again, you hear a lot of times in the NFL where, like, person outplayed his contract.
Yeah.
Right? You know, where's the money? Read me up. I outplayed my contract. So for whatever reason, kids get missed, and I think with the structure of the new calendars and things like that, even more kids are going to get missed because there's less days to be out there. But then you get out there, you know, and people are better than what some rankings said they were, and things like that, and they get a better opportunity. And I'm not upset unless it happens to us, but you know, you gotta take that on the chin and just understand and keep recruiting. And then at the same time, the story that I told about coming in and, you know, not understanding where my opportunity is going to be, I'm getting killed, this, that, and the third. I think a lot of people are taking that as if, all right, I'm out of here. Like, this guy's already killing me. He's already, let's say, luckily for me, Troy Bell was a senior, but let's say he was a junior. Yeah. And I had to go through this for 2 years. Like, some kids are, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to go somewhere where, you know, where they basically going to tell you what you want to hear again, and you're still going to have to recruit. You're still have to compete again at the next school because, again, 13 scholarships, everybody's got the same story from high school, everybody's got pride, so you think by you going to another school, it's not 12 guys already sitting there, like, this guy, what do you think he coming over here and getting my minutes? Like, so you're going to still have to go through all of this stuff all over again. I just think, again, you got to change with the times, but some of the things aren't beneficial when you're talking about teenagers. Yeah. You know, the new transfer portal, which makes it basically you don't even have to we don't get a chance to have a conversation with you if you don't want to say, look, this is where I see you. These are the areas that you struggled at. Going forward, this is what we're going to do, and if you do X, Y, and Z, you get more. You know, you get more of an opportunity, things like that. You know, there's going to be situations where I think you're a really good player, and as we all know, from a coaching standpoint, and I think I've seen you say it online, don't get upset when the coach is on you. Mm-hmm. Start worrying when he's not on you, like when he's not saying anything, and you know you're messing up, and he ain't saying nothing. He ain't saying anything. So a lot of times, like, you're in practice, and I'm on you because I think you can be really good, and I'm trying to get some of this BS out of your game. And you take that as, coach don't like me. Like, he always saying something to me, you know, versus maybe he sees a lot of potential in you, and that's why he said something to you, because he know you can be better than what you're showing. But with the way things are set up now, I may not even get a chance to say that. Right. You know, because you just didn't like what I said in practice today, so you're out of here. You know, so I definitely think it's a combination of both. I do think, again, social media, the ability, a ton of AAU teams. When we came up, if you wanted to be considered a big AAU team, you had Assault,
Jaguars,
Blue Devils. Now, and no knock to anybody, because some of these teams are, like, for example, I love district basketball. I love the way that they play the game. I love all that kind of stuff. But you're getting a bigger pool of guys that can say, you know, not to age myself, but I'm just talking to guys that grew up when we were playing. Oh, I played against Jerry Jack. Yeah. I played against James White. I played against DeMar Johnson.
You had to deal with those dudes.
Yeah, but you had to, like, to be on their team, like, you had to be good. Yeah. And to be where they're going to be at, you had to be good versus now it's 17 AAU teams in the area that now people are starting to think, I play with Jerry Jack, I'm just as good as Jerry Jack. So when I get to this low major school while he's at the top school, like, I'm supposed to be where he at. Yeah. We was on the same team. You know, we played at the same tournament. Like, he was on my Boys and Girls Club team, like, all that type of stuff. I used to kill him. Like, you know, that's how people see it, and they don't view it as like, yeah, you was on the same team. I say it all the time. One of my closest friends, Sherrod Ford, like, he was always going to get more opportunity than I am. He's 6'9".
Yeah.
You can jump out the gym, shot blocker, shoot threes, like this, that, and the third. Whether I can beat him one-on-one or not really don't matter, you know, because when the GM walks in the building or the head coach from the Power 5 school walks in the building, you think they're not taking a look at 6'9" first? They don't care that I beat him last night at the gym. You know what I mean? When they see him come over from the weak side shot block and all that type of stuff, and he's 6'9", hitting trailer threes and all that kind of stuff. So people don't understand that either. You just look at, oh man, when we played at such and such Boys and Girls Club, man, I used to fry him. You know what I mean? But that's not the game. Like, that's one-on-one and 5-on-5 and understanding how to do it under a whistle is something totally different. So I think even that part, and factor that in with social media, goes into the transfer thing, and I'm just as good as him and all this kind of stuff. So
I'm glad you brought that up, because that to me, that's kind of what's missing with a lot of youth today that's balling, is just being competitive. Like you said, when we came out, it might have been like 12 AAU programs period in the entire area.
right.
Now it might be 12 in one city. You know, it's that many. It's like, I mean, I know AAU tournaments that have like 300, 400 teams, and it's like 150 are from the area. I'm like, well, hold on, like, how many? You serious? And it's really, honestly, if you stayed all day, it's not really quality basketball for the most part. It might be a few teams that are, but it's just a lot of kids hoping and wishing, but they're being told they are, like you just said, and that's giving them a false sense of, you know, it's real. And then when somebody really tell them, like, no, you're just not that good, or, you know, then they depress and stuff like that, but it's just not real. So I agree with you say it, and that's why I'm saying today the accountability factor is not the same. You have to, like, all right, Jerry Jack. People don't realize Jerry Jack had it in the middle school. Like, I went to Little Baltimore. I was a year younger than him. He was all this in middle school, like 6 feet, 6'1" already then. You see what I'm like? In my ninth grade year, I was 5'8", 95 pounds. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not looking for me. But then again, you stick with it because you develop. By the time I finished high school, I'm 6'3", 180. It's different now. It's like, hold up. We just kick it. So that's what happens, and that's what why you gotta stay in the gym, and that's what happens, and that's why you say build relationships, because like, you know what, Louis a good dude, man. I know you below, you need to check out this guy. He been watch you all along, so it's great, man. But how's the transfer market a benefit?
It's actually we've actually dealt with 2 transfers. One was the 5th year, when we first got the job, but just recently we had a local kid. Didn't work out for him at the previous university, and it came in. It was great for us. He came in. Sometimes, again, kid didn't work out for him. Readjust your whole mind frame, mindset. Was I working hard enough? He had put in this much time and work in his craft ever. Like, I'm talking to the point where, like, I'm getting worried. Like, all right, dude, I think you may be wearing yourself down for the season. But he's like, I fell on my face. Like, if I'm gonna do it again, it's not gonna be because I didn't put the work in. You know what I mean? If it's because I'm too tired, or, you know, I can live with that. But it's not gonna be. I don't want to be able to say that I could have did a little bit more. I could have, and it's literally like 3 times a day. Whether it's, you know, I'm in here for 45 minutes, real quick, knock my workout, hop in the shower, go to class, be back after class, then I'm coming at night. You know, he's going to be there 2 or 3 times a day. And it's totally panned out for him. He's an all-conference player. So that actually worked out for us. It didn't work out at another school, but you get them in. You know, like I said, sometimes guys readjust their mindset, and that was actually really beneficial for us. But again, it's part of recruiting. Again, you got to change with the times as well. You know, with us having so many local guys, I think it was an easy transition because he was at least able to come up and see, oh, I kind of know this kid. I've heard of him. I at least know where you're from, you know, stuff like that. And they were able to build a quick bond, and that's what it kind of benefited us this past year. So,
what do you feel is the biggest disconnect in recruiting right now?
I would probably say that relationship between, like we've talked about before, high school coaches, parents, understanding how it all works, understanding how fluid recruiting is. Like, even, you know, in our office, the board is changing every day. If guys are taking their craft serious, and I mean from a coaching standpoint, that means that we're always scouring internet, scouring the rankings, watching video, this, that, and the third. With that being said, there's always somebody new on the board. I think, and I hate to put it this way, I think the D1 or bust, kind of mentality, it can hurt a kid, but at the same time, I'm the same coach that I hate when my players say, Coach, I want to go do what you did. I went to play overseas, which to me, it was a great accomplishment for me, but I'm like, why are we starting out with that? You know what I mean? And I'm like, nah, I see, and maybe I'm foolish, and I value the guys that we recruit too highly, because I'm like, no, you should be better than me. You should be able to do this. You can do this. I couldn't do that. You can do that better than me, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, don't come in with, I want to play overseas, like, because I feel like you're selling yourself short. So at the same time, it's hard for me to say to a high school kid, don't have that mentality, but you need realistic people in your corner that tell you this is the level you are, without killing your dream, without, and again, nothing's wrong with that. There's a kid at Shaw right now that's supposed, like, who knows what's going to happen. I'm pulling for him to get drafted. But, to have, for a kid, I think, yes, you want to try to compete at the highest level possible. And that's what keeps your drive going. Most of us want to go to NBA, stuff like that. And that should keep your drive going. But you need people who are in your corner that's going to tell you the right thing. I remember, just a quick background, I played with Steve Matthews at Gwynn Park. And then the letters start coming in. Eventually the Boston College offers comes in, and we're talking about it. And he was like, outside of this, like, where would you want to go? And I'm like, like Duke, Maryland, North Carolina. He was like, great, but you're not going there. You know what I mean? I'm like, what you mean? Like, what you mean? He was like, look, the same conferences, you're going to play against these guys.
Right.
But they're Duke, North Carolina, like, I don't know if you know. And again, rankings and all that stuff, internet wasn't as big, so we didn't really fully know. I remember going to AAU tournaments, and after the fact, you like, man, somebody be like, remember we played at him at such and such? And I'm like, no. Like, I didn't know that was JJ Redick right there. I didn't know that was, whoever it was. But, you need guys like that. Oh, personally, I felt like I needed somebody like that so that I'm not out here in April, May, waiting for Maryland, Duke, North Carolina, when Boston College was right there, and they want you and they love you, and they see a big future for you, and they have you in the plans. And some people let that happen, and they get to now waiting on that, and then now you don't have what you had. Boston College is no longer there. Some of the other schools that recruited you are no longer there because you're trying to wish upon a star, and you left the people that loved you and really could see you fitting into their system for something that you were never going to get. So, you need people, knowledgeable people, and that's the next thing. You need knowledgeable people around you to say, this is probably what it is. Again, not to kill someone's dream, but that have been around the block some. And that's part in the transfer market that you see a lot of times is people's surroundings. You're better than that. Yeah, because you saw me do this on the high school level. Like, that's what you remember, me doing this on the high school level and getting 30 points a game. But again, you got to understand now, everybody here did that on the high school level. Now it's about fitting into a system. And you can still be a star, but college basketball is so much more system-oriented and built. Like, no one's giving you the ball and clearing out one side and just letting you do your thing. Like, that just doesn't happen. That's how I view it, and I think that's one of the biggest things when you talk about that.
Like you said, Bobby Knight said it best. He said, high school, you showcase your talent, but college, you learn the game. And a lot of people just either refuse or don't want to put the time in to learn the game. And that's why they struggle. I know one of your mentors, Ed Myers and whatnot, used to coach at Georgetown, GW, Boston College. You've been all around the block. Obviously, when you were a player, how was it being recruited when you was coming up compared to now? And like you said, knowledgeable people around you. How big of an impact did the Myers have with you? Well,
start with Ed. I think Ed was one of those people that he didn't care about the ranking. But he was all, if you know Ed is as blunt as it's going to get. Like, I mean, as blunt as it's going to get. Like, talk about being humble.
Yeah.
Like, he will humble you quick. And first conversation I ever had with Ed Myers, we were playing Towson Catholic. Mello was still there. They came up to our school for Christmas jamboree, something like that. And at this time, it was when they Nike reps and all that type of stuff was big. So I think Ed was a Nike rep, and you know, it was kind of his job to follow Mello, and wherever he plays, that's where he needs to be. So I played well. I remember this game. We lost. Mello had 31. I had 28. And the first thing he said, he was like, I mean, you could be a college basketball player, but you too skinny. You can't stay in front of anybody. You too weak. You with 155. And at this time, I'm 6'2", 155 as a junior, like really skinny. And I'm like, man, I just had 28, and this dude's the second-ranked junior in the country, and he didn't say nothing positive to me, you know. But from that point on, he invited me for a workout. Again, don't get in your feelings. Take the criticism. Next thing I know, he invited me for a workout, and that became like my closest mentor as far as having somebody. I'm from Glass Manor, Oxon Hill, Glass Manor, so I didn't have anybody that had been through this before, or, you know, the best basketball players I know were still playing in the neighborhood. So I had somebody that he was the first one that told me, you're a Big East point guard. Like, he was the first person to tell me that. And at this time, you know, my best offer was probably George Mason, and they were still in the Colonial. And he was like, you know, just do this, that, and the third. Come to my camps, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, sometimes I'm going to this guy's camp, and it's me and 12 and 13-year-olds. Like, but I'm coming every day. Whatever he's telling me I got to do, and that's how I'm kind of working. And that's where that relationship built. And especially young Ed, like, he knows his stuff. And he was so plugged in that, you know, I'm indebted to him to this day. He gets me in an NBA camp. You know, I got it off his word. You know, not because the invite came in the mail and I was one of these, you know, invitees. I got it because Ed made a call and they was like, all right, bring him up. At this time, it was at American University, so he could get me there. I go there. I play well. My team wins the championship at the NBA camp. And then the rest was kind of history after that. But, you know, just having those people in your corner, again, I'm forever indebted to him. And he actually knew what I was because he actually used to run a camp at Glass Manor. It just so happened that we circled back when I was in high school, and that's kind of how our relationship built. So, again, and what was the first part of the question? I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, like, how was recruiting with you coming up at that time compared to now? How's it different? So
again, all that kind of stuff. It was really slow. You know, starting out as a sophomore, we had a really good team. It's kind of when I started getting a little interest. Just to throw out some names: the Charles Fords, the Sherrod Fords, the Seth Mitchells, Kellen Pruitts, Derek Seskers. You know, all those guys on the team. So we state championship team. I think we ended up with some national ranking and stuff like that. So it was kind of when things started. Then all those guys leave, and we stunk at Gwynn Park my junior year, so it kind of all went away. And then this was when the letters were big, so you were getting the letters, but never really talking to coaches, so I'm like, well, what is going to happen? Like, I didn't know. Prep school wasn't as prevalent as it is now, so it was like, you know, you didn't really know. It started, like I said, started with the more local schools, George Mason, George Washington. You know, schools like that were kind of interested, but didn't really pull the trigger. Or maybe they did, and I just didn't really know how it worked. Maybe it went through Ed, maybe it went through Coach Matthews and stuff like that. But I think right now, it's, and at least I was able to hide my lack thereof, you know, getting attention. Whereas like now, and that's why I think the social media stuff, again, comes in. I'm on a team with this dude. Like, I know every offer he's getting because he's getting posted every time. And, you know, certain people feel like, again, I played on his team. I'd be killing him in practice. I'm doing this, that, and the third. Like, I'm just as good as him. Like, where's my offers? And I think this is where all this stuff comes from. This is where all this social media, well, let me post my highlights. Even though we just lost by 17, I'm posting my highlights 7 minutes after the game. So that's where all that stuff kind of comes into play. And again, it was more so just continuing to just listen to Ed. Because again, I don't know this stuff.
Right.
I'm just listening to people who have told me they've done it before. They've had this player before me. If I listen to them, I believe in them and I trust them that they won't steer me down the wrong path. And that's exactly how it happened for me. There was no special formula for me. It was just listen to the people that have done it before you. Wherever they tell me I got to be, whatever fundraiser they tell me I got to do, Katie did. I was king of the Katie did. To like on the highway to get to Eastern Invitational, to pay for 5-star. You know what I mean? All this stuff.
Yeah, that was just like our era, though. Everybody did that.
That's what I had to do. And it was like they telling me this is where I got to be, and I just got to go there and I got to compete and I got to play, and it just all worked out for me. But I'm not naive enough to know that all kids don't have that. Yeah. All kids don't have Ed Myers to be like, I've coached this pro. I was at Georgetown. I was, walking in the gym prior to my workout and seeing Eton Thomas there every day, like was a big deal.
Working out with Deladon. I got the video.
Yeah, Deladon, like, stuff like that. When I didn't even know who Deladon was at the time. And then now, like, she is who she is.
Right.
And just having access to that, you know what I mean, was big. And it's like, when you walk in, you see, like I said, Eton Thomas, Deladon. I mean, it was so many pros that would come through, Othello Harrington, like, stuff like that. And it's like, how am I not going to listen to this guy? And that's it, again, there's no big formula. It's just listening to the people who have done it before you, trusting them with your career, and hopefully I'm not too long-winded. But just another thing with that, my original, when I went to Gwynn Park, it's not my area school, from Oxon Hill. I remember my mom tried to pull me off the team because I forgot to take the trash out. Stuff like that. And that's just how she was. You know what I mean? She told me to take the trash out.
You do it.
I didn't do it. So then now she's at the school talking to my coach like I'm getting pulled off the team. And it was him that had to talk to her like, listen, I don't know if you know. And at this point, I didn't even know. I don't know if you know, but your son's really good at basketball. If you, like, I got him. Like, he didn't take the trash out. Let me know. I'll take care of it. But you can't pull him off the team when, like, coaches is coming to watch and stuff like that. Because he was like, trust me, if you listen to me, he'll never have to pay a dime for college. And my mother went, okay, I'm listening to you right now, but if his grades slip up or there's another trash can, I'm coming at you and him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it went. And, again, my mother putting trust in the coach. Like, my mother, I don't know nothing about none of this. All I know is he didn't take the trash out.
Yep.
Like, all this college stuff y'all talking about, there was nobody in the neighborhood to be like, I've done it before. This is how you got to do it. So, again, we just put our faith in the people around us and trusted them, and that's how it worked out. Nowadays, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people involved where I don't think kids have a direct go-to for, listen, this guy's done it, just listen to him. Mm-hmm. But then it's these guys who do have these kids' ear, who kind of are seeking something too. Yeah. And that's where I think it gets a little muddy as far as like, are we putting a kid in the best position? Are you telling him exactly what he wants to hear? Are you telling him what he needs to hear? Or are you trying to position yourself for whatever you can get out of it?
Right.
I think that hurts the kid as well.
Okay, my last question for you. For players, players in a circle, what are some things that you wish they would keep a strong perspective on when it comes to college coaches in general?
So just players, high school players?
No, and in a circle, like when y'all come around, not just for you, but all college coaches, what are some things one thing you want them to realize to keep a strong perspective on, realize like this is what we have to deal with as well. Consider this before you go off the deep end of judges.
Well, I just had this talk with our guys this week as they finished their finals this week and they're getting ready to head home, and it was something small like you see guys about to head home and you take a look at the dorms and the rooms and how they were left as they were getting ready to go home. And my conversation to them was, understand, for one, this is a job for us, right? This is how I feed my family. This is how we all feed our family. I can get not that the Dirty Dome was going to do this, but I can lose my job strictly off something dumb that one of you guys do, that I've talked to you about every single day, that you guys know better. But if you go and make this one silly mistake, my wife, myself, my savings account, like everything is in ruins because of something that you guys have done. And I, just talk to them all the time about being grateful because on most universities, head coaches and staffs go to bat for, we try to get these guys as much as they can get, as far as from a housing standpoint, from a food standpoint. You see guys and talking about, how can we, help them monetize off the game, whether it's through Pell Grants, whether it's through whatever you can do, cost of attendance, things like that, to try to make the college experience as good as you can for many of these kids. Because, make no mistake about it, especially when we talk about predominantly white institutions, a lot of those kids who aren't athletes are coming there with some money in their pocket.
Right.
A lot of the athletes are coming there with no money in their pocket. So you're trying to make this as beneficial and as likable and as much of a good experience as you can, so that those wealth gaps don't rear their ugly heads as you're going throughout these 4 or sometimes 5 years. So again, my thing is be grateful for those things. Our guys stay in some of the best housing that I've ever seen. They stay in townhouses. And it's like, we've all been in college, like when my room was
the hard bed,
boom, like this is my bed, this is your bed. Like,
yeah.
I can reach out and touch you like from here. So it's like, be grateful for those things because, you had a head coach that really fought and went through things with administration to get you guys, this nice housing, these nice locker rooms, these, so that you cost of attendance and to put money in your pocket. At our school, round trip flights, 3 round trip flights. When we was in school, you got to pay. That's on your parent. Like, even if you got to go to summer school, like, the parent got to get you there and back. Like, so, just stuff like that. Just be grateful for the opportunity that you do have. Love the institution that you are at. Just like we learned as adults, love the job that you're at until, you get the next one, and then you do that one like there's no other job until you get something better. And that's how you got to treat this thing. And that's how you continue to progress in life. I've watched you guys grow from, just Fine as Mag to, to where you are now, Focus TV and scouting and all the things that you guys are into. And I think it all stems from, you treat Fine as Mag like it's all you got until Focus TV comes, until a scouting job comes. And, now you're in so many different avenues, all because who was Big that said it first, like, treat it like it's the first time. Yeah. Every time you do it, treat it like it's the first time. Don't get complacent, and start looking at the next thing. Treat whatever the task is like it's the first time. Mm-hmm. So I think as long as myself and our program and our guys continue to treat things that way, then you have no choice but to continue to get better, continue to progress, and that's all we're all looking for. When you talk about being successful in anything that you do, just continue to progress. Eventually, you'll get to where that, wherever it is that you want it to get to. So that's how I look at it.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for this portion of the first episode of the Roundtable. Louis Hinnant, UMass-Lowell assistant coach, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, thank you again for tuning into the Roundtable presented by Focus TV. We already had the first part of this episode. Got Cardell Dudley here, got the Hairstons, got Jordan Hairston, Texas A&M University Corpus-Christi commit, Flint Hill District Basketball Club point guard, have his father, Rodney Hairston, and you guys already know Jamaal Haywood from the 9450 basketball. This is who produces that great clip we get each and every Tuesday night on the Focus TV. So similar to the first part of this, you guys already know what it's about. We're talking about recruiting. And we're talking about all aspects because there's typically a disconnect between the player being recruited sometimes, the parents, the coaches. There's a lot of moving parts. And we had a great first half, getting some good informative insight from our first guest. Right now, just want to going to start with you guys. Just ask, now that you're kind of done with you're pretty much done with the recruiting process, right? What was the toughest part for you?
To me, the toughest part is going in, night out, and trying to play your best, because that's what you practice for, and you don't know like what coaches want. You don't like every coach is different. They got a different playing style, and like trying to go in, night out, and produce, and like give a coach what he wants in the particular style that he wants. That's probably the hardest part throughout the process.
All right, Rodney, for you as a parent, what was the toughest part for you?
This might take the whole show.
Yeah, man. It's tough, man, because as a parent, man, you know, I've been through the process. It's nothing like this, though. The way basketball is now, this process, you can't guess what somebody wants. Some coaches, they come see you, and they might be there for 2 minutes, and that might not be your 2 minutes.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, I don't see what I want. Mm-hmm. And so I'd be on the sideline like, you know, shoot the ball, like, catch it, do this, like stuff like that. But it don't matter, like, it really don't. Like, so it's been a very stressful process. But you know, at the end of the day, God kind of got us where we needed to go. I don't have to drive. You know, I put like 75,000 miles on my car in 2 years. I'm glad that's over with. I'm glad it's over with, man.
All right, Jamaal, for you, you know, we've talked several times already today just about how recruiting was, you know, years ago to how it's now. Again, it's all the different moving parts. As a trainer, what's the recruiting process like for you, just period?
Well, in regards to college, it's a little bit different now because, you know, media and social media plays an aspect now. What I tell kids a lot is if you're whatever level of college you're trying to play at, you got to treat it like a job interview. So you always got to put your best foot forward. So like Rodney said, you know, a coach might come for 2 minutes. That might be 2 minutes where you are pouting in a bad attitude. You know, some coaches stay for 2 minutes, some coaches stay for a whole game. Regardless of the fact, you still have to have your best foot forward. So body language has to be in check. Got to always be playing hard on both ends. You can't just be looking to score. You can't just be looking to play defense and not do everything on the offensive end. Because at the end of the day, what wins games is points. Even though defense is important, but you got to put points on the board. So again, you just got to, you know, play hard on both ends. And like Jordan said, it all goes down to your preparation. You never know what a coach is looking for. So you just got to be prepared for whatever style they have.
Jordan, obviously your stock blew up over the last year. Numerous D1 schools all came with offers and whatnot. What were some of the things you were looking for yourself when they came knocking?
Whatever school like gives me the best opportunity to better enhance myself in the future. I really love this game. This is what I want to do. I want to be a pro. And whichever school like really wants me, gives me that opportunity to reach that next level while still helping their program. That's the school I really was looking to choose, and that's what I found out over these past couple of days.
Okay, same question.
Yeah, you know, as a father, you kind of want to make sure that your kid goes somewhere where somebody wants your child. You know what I'm saying? He know he has to do the hard work. He's been underrated. You know, he's had to climb these mountains. He's done it. So I'm not worried about that part. I just want to make sure he went somewhere where he was going to be around someone that was going to teach him the basketball part, but also teach him how to be a good young man, grow into a real good young man. So you want to make sure he go into that scenery. And we found that with Coach Wilson at Corpus-Christi, so that kind of made me feel more comfortable sending him off, you know, to Texas.
What were turn-offs for both of y'all?
For me, it was basically like Coach Dowling, like Coach saying like your height and everything. Like to me, I feel like height doesn't matter. Like it's the heart that really matters. Like
So coaches came to recruit you and saying, I just don't think they told you that.
They were like, you were like a little bit too short. You're like 2 inches too short or something.
So why come?
Yeah, I didn't understand it, but I mean, for me, that's like my biggest motivation. Like people always doubting me, and then.
And at the same time, he busting the 6'2", 6'4" guards.
Yeah, about to go in.
Because I mean, I'm sorry to just interject, but seriously, why show up if you already have predetermined? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a certain type of whatever, right? You don't have to show up.
Right.
If you already know for you, like personally, he doesn't fit what I'm looking for, why show up to tell that person that?
Right.
Do you
It's a
feel
phone
like-
call.
Do you feel like some schools came knocking, came calling because they saw other schools calling and knocking?
That's how it
Oh
works.
yes, I think that's how it works. Some schools in the conference, you see another school offer, it's like they got offer too. They got like try to make the best move. They like try to beat them to the case.
That's how it works.
Right.
Jamaal, nowadays it's different. When we came up, trainers are a big part of the inner circle as far as recruiting one player. You know, what was some of the advice you gave to what is some of the advice you give to your players that you train when college coaches reach out, and you know, whether they inquiring or offering, what is some of the advice you give them?
Just be respectful. Like I said earlier, now that social media is huge, watch what you put on social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. A lot of these kids like to do selfies at different events, like parties and stuff like that. Just like you have access to Instagram that scrolls through somebody else's videos, college coaches have access to that as well also too. So your game could be very good, but at the same time, they can make that decision based off non-basketball related stuff. So if they feel like you're going to be a problem child or, you know, you have to babysit you, they're not going to want to put up with you for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. And it's an investment for them because college tuition is going up, $50, $60, sometimes $70,000, and the school's paying for that as well as extra stuff as well. Also, you're getting gear and you're getting all types of food, just anything else to make sure that you're comfortable there. So again, like I said, that's an investment. So you have to make those coaches, feel like they're gonna get their investment back. So if you're not doing that, if you're not preparing yourself now while you're in high school to be that type of person when you get to college, then you're wasting your time.
All right. One of the things we talked about in the first part of this was just in the relationship with coaching staffs and prospective players. You guys already mentioned with some of the challenges in terms of the lack of communication, in terms of what they're looking for, what they may actually want. Happy that you guys found your fit. Initially, how stark was the difference going from literally the exact the horrible experience to the right fit?
It's the right fit is very important. All y'all got to do is go look at this transfer portal. This game of basketball is changing, and everybody putting out there, I'm 110% committed. Next year they trying to get up out of there, like that. So you'll have to look at the character of the way college coaches is looking at the character of the player. As a parent, and what I've told my son is you got to also read the same way you reading when you're playing defense and you're reading the offensive man. You got to start reading people and finding out what their character like. And so when we started, like with me, I need to either know you cool or you messed up, but I can't be in the middle and trying to figure it out. And that's the same way with him. So coming through this process, we got to the point where we was like, okay, is this coach going to be a good coach? I think I'm going back to what I was saying before, is about how you treat someone and how you be someone. And he don't ask for nothing. He don't want nothing free. You know what I'm saying? He gonna work for it. He gonna have to work for it, and that's the way it is. So at the same time, you want to make sure that someone is building good character men, to help lead this country one day. You know what I'm saying? Because Lord knows we need it.
For sure.
For you, Jordan, was it that let you know initially, like, this is the right fit for me?
The coaching staffs was like constantly reaching out. They had their players reach out, their coaches reach out. They would reach out to my family, me, my high school coach, my trainers. It was like a constant effort, and like you can tell like that stuff doesn't happen every day. When I went on official there, they had me meet the president of the school, the AD, and I was like my coaches and stuff. They were like, this doesn't happen to like regular like players. Like normally coaches don't do this. And I like factored it all in together, and I was like, yeah, this school is probably the best fit for me, best school to help me excel.
This is a question for all three of you guys. What do you feel is more important now? High school performance or AAU performance?
That's it. I mean, I'm going to say both, but because times are different, like you said earlier, where AAU didn't play a factor into it back in the day when we played. AAU is more important now, and it just coincides with the college team schedule. You know, when high school season is going on, so is college season. So you're rarely going to see college coaches pop into high school games just because, you know, they're flying from city to city at times, you know, going playing different games, especially when it's conference play. It's just almost impossible. So AAU coincides with their off season, so, you know, those live periods are important. It kind of sucks, but that's just the way it is now. Where AAU is more important, because I feel that AAU is not as organized and there's not much teaching as it's supposed to be, as it is in high school, where you're with, you know, 4 different coaches that, if we're going to be honest, they're getting paid to coach you, as well as AAU, you never know what that coach's situation is. They might be doing it for the free bono. So they're doing it out of passion, and some will like to do it that way, but some will just be there just for the gear, just like the kids are. It might be an Under Armour team, it might be a Nike team, it might be an Adidas team, and the coach might be looking at a situation like, oh, I get a free sweatsuit, I get some free shoes. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping the same mentality as the kids. So they're not there to actually help the kids, they're not there to teach anything to the kids. So a lot of times when those kids leave AAU and go back to high school, you didn't really learn anything. All you do is just play basketball, which helps you stay in shape, yes, but at the same time, as years go past, you got to grow. You got to improve. That's the only way you catch notice of college coaches.
I would say like it's both definitely, but AAU you get like majority of the coaches. That's when all the coaches are there. That's when you gotta really be at your best. But also once you get to coaches, like high school plays a big part because you're now playing in a structured environment, and the coaches like in AAU like you just run around. There's not really many plays that you run in AAU. It's basically like off of talent. And in high school you gotta like be strategic in what you run. You gotta do things very sharp. So like when coaches come there, they like compare that to how it's gonna be in college. Even though the talent level may not always be there, but you need both parts to be able to see what a player has.
I mean, you're with a high school coach for like 8 months, and then all of a sudden you switch over to an AAU program, and you're there for like 4 months doing spot tournaments and stuff like this. You have to find a good fit. And people are rotating this and that. So you have to really find a good fit. And we've been blessed enough to be on some good programs. And like this summer, you know, we was trying to figure out what we was going to do, this and that. We was blessed enough to get together with Coach Devin Williams for the district basketball club, and they welcomed open arms with him. And you know, we've been good. He's played with New World, Team BBC, played with a lot of different things. You know, coming up, take over back in the DC Assault kid. We had all different types of AAU things that we did with, but it's like this AAU game now, man, it's like it's crazy. Like it really is. And you know, you see, and this Twitter stuff don't make it no better.
It's about the dollar.
Like it is, you know, and the shoe companies are taking this away from the high school coaches. Think about it, high school coaches spend 8 months running track, lifting weights,
Classroom, making sure your grades on
doing all of that.
student.
Exactly, 100%. And then you get out into AAU, it's like who's the most athletic, who's doing the best dunk, you know, and this and that. And it's like, you know, it didn't change. The game has really changed.
With Jordan, how did the school where I met you at, that was public, right? Flint Hill, is Flint Hill private or public?
Private.
Private. So, but it's a more well-known program. So when you transfer, how did that help your recruiting? Because I saw Richmond in the crowd when I first met you. Nothing really came. And then like a year, fast forward, you got many offers. And I'm like, you got sharper. Your game got sharper, but you was doing a lot of the same stuff then. So what changed with the college coaches?
It was really that summer. I feel like I had like a very good summer. Got a lot of good experiences. But playing alongside somebody like Qadis Wahab, who brings in a lot of coaches, there was definitely more coaches like in the off season. It was because my previous summer and Qadis Wahab and the other recruits we have there at Flint Hill. But playing along people like that, going against other like high competition guards that's in that conference that also brings coaches, that's like more exposure. So like public school, it was great. A lot of accolades. That was like the start of where like my recruitment process started. But then flipping the coin and going to Flint Hill, that's when the majority of the coaches started coming in, and that's where it all finished up at.
Yo, he sat there. He said it was a hard decision. So all he do is go to sleep. I drive, and I'm on the phone talking. I said, look, it was hard leaving Flint Hill. And you was there. You saw it. You know, like he played good. Player of the year, regional player of the year, first team all state. You know, and I'm over here like, shoot, you don't want to go for 2-time player of the year? Like, I'm thinking like that, this and that, and coach who's, you know, is a good guy, good coach and this and that. So he sat there and we was in the car and he was like, he said, Dad, I don't care about the accolades no more. He was like, because it's not what they want. He's like, I care about winning. I care about winning championships, this and that. And he was already working out with Q and Coach Duvall and them. They had him working out and stuff. And all of a sudden, when you start bonding with people, it's a wrap. And once I said, it's your decision, man. You got to own it. He said, I want to win a championship. And that's what he went there and they did it.
All right, the last thing, one of the things that stuck out to me was how important it is to have informed people in your circle when going through this. One, how has that helped, and who are those people?
For me, it was my family.
I got a lot to say about that.
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was definitely my family. They're the ones that always had my back growing up and everything. My mom, my dad, they basically pushed me every day. So I really relied on them the most. My dad did a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, put a lot of miles on his car, and I'm thankful for that. But it was my family, and really, you just gotta like trust in God. Like you gotta believe, like even when like things may not seem or like are going your way, like you could be like in the darkest time, but the brightest stars shine at night. And I feel like God has really helped me throughout this process, along with my family and then the support of friends and loved ones.
And I was the security. So, like, people call me what they want to call me. I was the security. You see me in the stands, I got passion. Like I tell people, you know, I done cursed LeBron James. I was cursing James Harden out last night. He don't even know it. Like I'm in the living room and I'm going this and that. But you gotta have a village of people. We've been blessed enough to have a village of friends, good friends and stuff that've been around. You know, I could go on and list all the guys. They all know who they've been there. And you also, one of the things, we have good trainers. This is one thing like with Jamaal. He probably, you can attest to this. Like when you have a good trainer that believes in their kids, they also there gonna protect you. They also gonna talk to you like they your dad, they your father, making sure you ain't doing no crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I know you probably do that with all your kids. You know, it's like if they doing something wrong, you probably snatching them back. Like hold up, you know, this and that. So you want to surround yourself with trainers like Jamaal, people that got that type of, you know, like caring about your son, you know, and the athlete and you as a person.
before we let Jamaal go, because I know he's ready to go. I was going to say, that part that you just mentioned with Jamaal and obviously having a good village, a good support system, did that make it easier for you as a parent to kind of just fall back, not to fight the temptation to get too involved or overly involved in some cases?
Man, that was a day-to-day thing right there, man. It's like how I woke up.
It's hard because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your kid. You know what I'm saying? That you brought him in this world, so you're going to have some sort of protection over him, even though you want other people to give him advice. So he needs to hear another voice, but at the end of the day, you brought him here.
Because Jamaal could pull him to the side, say the exact same thing I say, and he ain't gonna talk back to Jamaal. He ain't gonna mumble his lips. He ain't gonna say nothing to make him go crazy.
Right.
So I actually would use people like Jamaal. I would use people. I use people like that, man. Because you know, you ride with him, you rock with him, and stuff like that, and you believe in him, and you deal with people who believe in him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'm real grateful for Jim Couch. I'm real grateful for going up there. I'm real grateful for all these tournaments and that, because in most of the tournaments, right before it's like, well, I don't know. After it's like, hey man, let me get your number, man. That kid, it's that, and it's like, okay, but that's life. That's a part of life. So it's a day-to-day thing. But I would use people like him, like you guys, to be there to make sure, because all we want to see is everybody, you know, like be successful in everything we do.
True. Because the wolves were definitely certain when he killed up at Jim Couch. They were like, yo, now how can I'm like, dog, he good, man. Shit. He came up here, do his thing, go back home.
Right.
And the funny part is some of the same people out in this game and stuff like that. Sometimes I look as some people, man. And I'm like, man, where did you play ball? Did you play ball? Like, where's your knowledge and all this stuff coming from? Because if you're truly trying to help kids, right? This is why if you're truly trying to help the kids that isn't 7 foot, 6'5". Help the kids is not so athletic. Help those kids. That's when I think y'all give respect to the game. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Don't compose of what the parents have been running around doing all the training, getting them where it is, and you just put them on the team and stuff like that. Y'all win, and it's like I'm pumping my chest. What about the kids? This and that. People want to talk about God made him what he is. Don't come talk to us about no height. Argue with God. If you believe in God, you know all of us are built different. We're made different, and it's up to God. That's what I tell him all the time, man. Keep God first.
He'll agree. I'm pretty sure. A guy was training an elite player like one time take a selfie and try to take photos. Like that's the worst joke ever. You know, we just looking. I'm like, you can't be serious, man. Like I know homie since he was a kid. Like
You hit it.
There's a couple still want to come to mind, but go ahead, Jamaal. Now we're gonna be grown. I'm a petty person, but we're gonna check. But go ahead, Jamaal. I know you've been saying.
Oh man. Yeah. So in regards to players in their circle, of course the family is important, but you also got to have other individuals that A, know basketball, B, have the kids' best interest, and I'm not saying have their best interest so they can get a paycheck at the end of the day, but just want to see the kid do good, and want them to be successful, and C, don't have an issue with telling that kid when they're wrong. A lot of times you just see people within a circle or people get included to a circle of a kid, and they're just there to coddle them and pacify them, which I actually can't stand, because it just hurts the kid in the long run, because now they're going to run into somebody that actually doesn't do that, and it's going to be a culture shock for them, and it's going to be a culture shock for them at the wrong time. Go ahead.
To piggyback off that part, shouldn't that start at home too? Because if your parents hold you accountable, you still used to being held accountable.
It does start at home, but to his point, what I've noticed, kids listen to their parents in this game of basketball, but at some point, probably when they become early teenagers, they stop listening to them. They listen to them overall, but like little advices and little keynotes, they're like, oh yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
Tune them out.
So that's where the other people within that circle come into play, like you said, a trainer. So now the player might develop a stronger bond with their trainer. Not that they have an issue with their parents, but that's just what happens. They just need different experiences like that and different people to teach them stuff. So yes, it should start at home, but there's other people that play a responsible role in the upbringing of these kids and raise them the right way and tell them the right things. So again, like I said, having like a trainer or just a family friend or some type of advisor or something like that can keep it real with them and tell them this is what you're going to expect down the road. There's going to be coaches that's going to yell at you. Don't develop an attitude with that. Just take it for a grain of salt. Listen. Use it as motivation, like he said before, and just improve, as opposed to shutting down, getting an attitude and pouting. Because at the end of the day, if you're in a game and you're pouting because your coach got mad at you and he pulled you out, and Roy Williams is sitting over there and he sees you pouting, don't get mad when he exits your name off that list.
And it hurts your team.
Absolutely. Now Roy Williams is looking at you like, okay, got great talent, bad attitude, and he's hurting his team. I don't want him.
But I only said that because, you do get that. We got to this phase where, man, I'm tired of listening to my parents.
Exactly.
You start tuning them out, but you still hear them.
No, you hear him.
It's like, what's the kid from Michigan State this year? Izzo went off on him in the tournament, and he was like, everybody else was in the row. He's like, I'm good. Like, my mom worse than him. You know what I'm saying? So that made, he handled it, then he responded.
Right.
That's why I brought up the fact that does that start
it does, because
lose?
it does, because you develop the core values at home as far as respecting adults and respecting people of authority. So he was taught the right way at home so that he won't disrespect Tom Izzo. So that's it starts from that foundation. But again, it's a combination where you need it at home and then you need it from some outside people as well also too.
For all three of y'all, what matters more, the circuit you play on or playing on a team during AAU that would let you just rock out, like showcase what you can do? 'Cause, you know, everybody, you know, I say that Nike is the best, but that may not always be the best for a player.
I'm gonna say the circuit you play for, and I'm gonna say it because the circuit you play for nowadays is gonna attract good players. I'm always a fan of. He was underrated. It might be 2 or 3 people, guards or bigs, that just are pulling in coaches. That's where he can catch their eye. As opposed to being on a team that's just going to let him rock out, that's not pulling in coaches. Now, I'm not saying that coaches are not going to see him and not see him, just walk around the gym, see him. But when a coach comes in, he's the only good player on his team. Whereas I have a team under Nike that has 4 or 5-star recruits. Who do you think that coach is going to go see? They're going to go see that Nike team.
They all around.
Exactly. They're not going to go see him. Some will because they want to find those diamonds in the rough. But again, I'm all for him being 3-star, 4-star, whatever, with 5-star athletes. And because those 5-star athletes on that team, Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, the Michigan States are going to be there to watch him. They don't necessarily know about him. He does well. Oh, he's on my radar now.
And on Nike, it ain't the assistant coach, the head coach, front row coach. They right there.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
I mean, what's your
Exactly.
take on that?
I would say the circuits. Nowadays, social media like really presses out that circus is like the big thing, and that's where like all the coaches and everything is at now. I mean, you don't want to be on a team where you don't play at all because that's not going to benefit you. But being on a circuit definitely helps you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a tough balance between that because like he's played on the circuit. He played on Under Armour after his freshman year. Played on Adidas the last 2 years, and it's kind of crazy. He played against Zion Williams guard. He played against Davion Dotson guard. So you see all of these people right there, and if you happen to have a good game, shout out to Team Durant, but I gotta bring this up for a second. With the district, which is a good team where it's a good family, so you kind of get some of that stress off. When you get on them circuit teams, it's totally different. Like it's different. But we played Team Durant a couple weeks ago, and he dropped 26 in the second half. If we and the game was up in Maryland somewhere where we was playing, and they got some real good players and they tough. They just knocked off Takeover first loss, and they tough. If we on one of the circuit floors with him on there with the circuit game, we all might be having a different discussion right now. If all those coaches was there and saw that game, this and that, it's a whole different thing because it's like, what do you do for me now?
Right.
This and that, So but at the same time, you also want to be able to have a good organization because some of this stuff is unorganized.
It is.
That's why I like the district. They're real organized. For that new world. So it's a balance.
For all three, when you advising players in the recruiting process and when you were being recruited, how much did y'all look at the transfer portal? Because it could be a school you like, and all of a sudden at somebody in college, they sign them real quick, they play point guard, you be like, oh man, I don't know, I might scratch them off the list. So how big is the transfer portal thing, the transfer market now, and in recruiting right now?
It plays a very big part in what school you choose because basically you're looking at your spot and like who's in front of you, who's ahead of you. Nowadays, like coaches want like older like players, more mature players. So they're looking at transfer portal and then like they'll tell you like based off that how they're gonna move forward with you. So if you see a guard that goes in your spot, I mean you may like the school, it may be the greatest thing ever, but you get there and you're not playing, it's not benefiting you at all. It's basically just you're like a regular student at that point if you don't get to shine. So you gotta pick the school that like best fits you and like you see the guards like in front of you and like the coach. Really, you're in a good situation for yourself.
I turned down 5 schools over this last week for visits and 2 that wanted to make an offer, because it was what I heard in the conversation was, we got some kids, that's left. We got some kids, that might leave. So I told him, I said, look, I don't want my son just to be coming to a school to be a roster spot. You know what I'm saying? So I advise people to weigh that situation. Like I don't even want him to go somewhere just to be a roster spot, whatever, and then they recruiting over you. You're like, you don't want to do that. You look at this transfer report, there's over 800 and some kids there. He's against 2019 class. He's against the transfer portal, 800 and some kids. He's against JUCOs. He's against preps. Like, that number is big, and it's less than 1%. Exactly. International, yeah, exactly. And there's only 1% of kids that play Division I.
Are players transferring due to running from having to earn their spot in the roster spot? Or is it about coaches not moving in integrity and keeping it real? Because that goes on too.
Both.
I'm not sure if you guys
I saw there was an Instagram post of the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, I know.
You saw
which one.
that?
Yes.
Yes. So there's a picture on the left and there's a picture on the right. And the picture on the left, was Incredible Hulk dressed up, shirt and tie, and glasses. And that was the description of college coaches when they're recruiting you. And the picture on the right is the Incredible Hulk with the shirt ripped off, pants ripped off, at the bottom, you know the rest. So that's why I say it's the combination of both. They put their best foot forward when they're recruiting you, and they can easily switch up after the fact. It has happened. I do believe the latter has happened also too, where kids do run from adversity and competition. But that's something that's developed throughout their childhood, AAU, and their circle, where people are pacifying them and telling them, oh, you went 0 for 20, but you still had a good game. No, you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you didn't. You played like trash. Yeah. But they don't want to tell them they play like trash because they're scared that kid will go somewhere else, or that kid doesn't want to hear it and they know that kid is sensitive. No, let him break out that sensitivity by telling him you play like trash. Because guess what? When you get to college, your college coach is going to tell you when you shoot over 20, you play like trash.
If you're still in the game.
Exactly. No, right. Exactly. So allow them to be comfortable with hearing that from time to time when they are doing bad. But they're not used to that. So now when they come into this adversity later on in life, pack my bags, let's go running.
Same question, what do you feel is the biggest disconnect in recruitment?
Yeah, I just feel like just being upfront, and because some of these people are connected with certain organizations, certain AAU programs, this and that, and they want this kid, so they'll recruit that kid. You know, they'll give a scholarship because they're trying to get that kid. There's some things. Are you really looking at the talent? Are you really looking at what this kid could be, and all that stuff like that? So, shout out to AAU. I'm glad to see you. I'm sorry for this.
I think, keeping it real with people, for real. The coaches, they just gotta keep it real with you. It's no point in like entertaining you and like getting your hopes up and then like at the last minute like wasting your time. Like that whole process is what was the point of all that if you just if that's not what you're about, like keep it real with the players so like they know what's going down, because it makes it a harder decision if like they get your hopes up, other coaches get your hopes up, and then later you find out, oh, this coach wasn't what it was supposed to be. So now you gotta go to these other options and be like, oh, so which one of these is better? And maybe a coach do the same thing. But if they like keep it real with you from the jump, and like throughout that process it's the same way, and it doesn't like change up, or like when you get to college like change up on you, and that'll make it a whole lot easier for kids to understand and better prepare themselves for the next level.
That was pretty much well said by both of them. I will say not to overpromise.
Not to overpromise. There's a new thing that's going on nowadays with college coaches where, you know, depending on who they're recruiting, or of course now the transfer portal and stuff like that, they'll ask the kid to leave. They ask kids to leave. So, and they'll try to get into another school and stuff like that, but they'll ask kids to leave. So you never know what happens in that original conversation when you originally recruited that kid and what expectations you set for them. Because at the end of the day, your word is your bond. So if you tell X, okay, you're gonna do this for our team, we want this from you, we want this from you, this is your expectations, and then it doesn't pan out that way, that's you over-promising. So to their point, you just gotta be honest with them. You know, we want you to come in. I'm not gonna promise you a starting spot, but I'm gonna promise you minutes if you earn it and play hard. That's as honest as you can be. Because at the end of the day, college basketball technically is a business because of the amount of money that it brings in. You got to put your best five out there and extras as far as the bench players to produce results, to keep your job, to keep money, to keep yourself, your place within the conference that you're in, and just keep, you know, the competitiveness within your school. So just don't overpromise. And I think, you know, with college coaches, you know, just being honest with the players can only respect it.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in. Definitely a fun time, very informative. And again, congratulations that you guys are done with this process. But again, we got Jamaal Haywood here, Jordan Hairston, Rodney Hairston, Cardell Dudley, Wilson Sarpay Jr. Thanks to Rodney. This has been the first episode of the Roundtable, presented by the Focus Team.